Directors presented to you in May, or June, I think it was June this year. And you will see, as we explained to you back then, this is really not a wish list. Most of these things are things that they just really need. I guess there were some that were optional, but for the most part, it's things that they really need to do their day-to-day business. But I wanted to have Chris just kind of run down this list quickly to show you what we've recommended, and what we've recommended has been included in the numbers. So if there's something that you think we should not have funded, we would need to pull it out of those numbers. If there's something that we did not fund that you think should have been funded, then we can go back and look at our fund balance summaries and see if there's the availability of funds to do that. So, Mr. Barker, would you walk me through the list?
Something more exciting than insurance.
Hey, I get as excited about insurance as you do recon.
I know. I wish I'd done. I kind of needed to go to the bathroom, but I thought, no, my slide's next.
Well, this will be quick.
All right, tab 5. So on tab 5, pages 5.1 through 5.3 is the capital supplemental request by fund. So that's how we're going to look at it. And then 5.4 through 5.6 are the same requests. It's just in that way they're grouped by department. So if you want to follow along, we're looking at 5.1, starting with that first group, which is general fund capital programs. And y'all have heard this. It was June 9th they went through this. So my intent is to kind of hit some highlights. But if there's a question that you have that I skip over, or one of the programs you want to know about, just holler and we'll stop and talk about it. So I have a slide for each one of these, and it's that slide right there. That's so, in that first group, general fund capital, I was going to draw your attention to the second one actually on the list, the small business promotion and retention. This is what we're going to try to do up there, generally around Main Street, but it could also be just kind of the entire 183 Midtown construction area. We're going to talk a little bit later about a sign program that we're wanting to do. We are still working on developing some things, but what we're kind of leaning with this is the sign program I'm talking to you is we're going to break some of our normal sign rules to allow these folks to do some things that they normally can't do during this construction time to help kind of generate traffic and business and direct people. Betsy is working on a couple of different programs, but the first one we're working on is what we're going to call a taste of Main Street. It's not a taste necessarily eating food. It could be a taste of just flavor of the businesses up there that we would host in that area, and try to drive folks up there and let those businesses come out and show who they are, and we're trying to do maybe a little festival-y type atmosphere. So we're still working on details on that, but that's kind of where we're leaning on some ideas there.
And Betsy has reached out to the Small Business Association to ask them if they would be willing to assist with that, and they've indicated a willingness to assist us to try to do something up there. And again, it would be, what her thought is just try to bring people to the corridor to introduce them. It's called Taste of Maine, but as Chris was saying, to introduce them to what the businesses are and what they have inside their stores. Yeah. And Chris is going to have a little video here to show you one of the ways that they're trying to do that, because we think there's people that don't necessarily know what some of those little businesses up there do. And so she's trying to help get the word out on what they might offer.
We're going to put this on our webpage too, so people can see it who may not be able to go to this.
She's going to actually use Facebook. She's going to use, I guess, Twitter. I don't do tweeting, but
everything we got.
And web page, and is that? Do you have that loaded up where you can?
I took you down. You want to? I can skip to it if you
Why
want
don't you
to.
go ahead and skip to that and show them what we're talking about.
Great idea.
Betsy and the multimedia intern, remember, have been working on a series of short little videos. They've shot, I want to say 3. I brought one of them here real quick, and we're going to start putting those out. Not only can we do it, then we're giving that back to the, in this case, it's the hairdresser, and they can use that because they may have their own things. And so it's kind of a cooperative deal. Let me skip slides here and show that real quick. This particular one, we've got a celebrity. I'll see if you can pick them out. There, that is featured in this video. And I think I may be a little sound bar here that you may get the audio on it here real quick. So let me try this and see if it's going to work.
Come experience one of the friendliest salons the city of Euless has to offer. There are beauty parlor and spa has a full-service salon for the entire family that specializes in haircuts, color, and highlighting. While you're there, treat yourself to a facial, manicure, massage, threading, or waxing. Their beauty parlor and spa is located at 212 North Main Street.
So just a real quick little thing, it hasn't cost the business owner anything. We've done it through our multimedia intern and Betsy have done this, and it would be something like, again, we can push out through the website or Facebook or what have you, but also give to that business owner that they can push out. I think they've done the donut store.
That's cool.
This one, I cannot remember the third one yet, but they're trying to kind of, to start that, and we will do
Didn't
more
they
of those
do,
things.
didn't you do the one right next to the donut shop, the little grocery
It's the little
thing?
market,
Yeah,
yes, I
the
just
little
couldn't remember the
market,
name of
yeah.
it. What we're finding when we go visit with those folks is your Savianos and even your Brahms, Savianos will tell you not only are they doing fine, they're doing great. I think there's enough of a following that people are going to go there regardless. What it hurts really bad is the donut store. It's been great for me. Loretta's been buying donuts up there and bringing them to the office to help the lady out. But,
And Chris gave some donuts.
and then she sends
I like
me
blueberry
to
cake.
the finance building to get rid of the rest of the donuts, but she doesn't know it. I just go in there and every time I walk into a new department, I have one with them.
You gotta work on your wellness though, Chris.
You can't do
I
it
know
all,
that
you know?
donut store, I feel so sorry for that little lady, because it used to be that literally every time you went in there in the morning, there was a line. And now I go in there sometimes, and she's sitting there just waiting for somebody to come in.
She told me the other day she was off 50%.
Well, the deal there is, I mean, like, for instance, Saviano's, I mean, if you like that, you're gonna go ahead and go. The donut store, I mean, there's one down at Harwood, and
Yeah, you
there's
can't
a store
swing
everywhere.
their cat without hitting.
So that's kind of what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And so we're starting honestly on those, what I would just tell you are more small businesses. Saviano's is obviously a local small business, and we're not going to ignore them.
But they
But
really
these are the
don't need
people that
help.
hurt. These are the people that are hurt.
Yeah.
I thought they did a good job on that, and they've done that pretty quickly.
And they're intentionally very short, because they want to be able to put this stuff on Facebook and, try to really advertise that. But then the sign program that Chris is talking about, we've got these flyers that, with your permission on that, we're gonna make some exceptions. It doesn't take a revision to the ordinance or anything. We're just gonna have a temporary sign program where we're gonna allow them to put in, enter here, or yes, we're open, or, whatever, but we're gonna make some exceptions to that, unless you all object to that, but it's for that corridor only, but just during this construction period. Obviously, you got to have the traffic there, but once the traffic is there, to try to make sure that people, don't pass them up because they look like they're closed, because there were so many cones in front of their business.
So Mike Collins' group and then Betsy assisting them is going to take, assuming you all bless this today, we've created a little flyer that they can go up and visit with the business owners and then hand them this flyer. And what it talks to them about is, what Loretta said, we're gonna waive some of those, currently we regulate how many banner signs you can have and how many times, we're going to allow some of those rules to be broken. We're going to ask them to still obtain a permit, because we want to make sure that they're not being placed in a site visibility triangle or somewhere that they shouldn't. But we're gonna waive the permitting fee, so that we're not asking for any money. But we're gonna help them kind of through this and allow them during the term of the construction to have additional signage. And so Mike and I'm gonna try to go literally business to business, door to door to introduce this. But we wanted a flyer to be able to hand them. And at the bottom of that page there, it's hard to see, but I think I put another one in here. The idea is just, we're limiting that to the 183 corridor, and then when you get to Main Street, we've taken it up to Midway Drive there, which tends to be really the folks that are involved. And it's literally kind of one lot, if you will, deep along Main Street, trying to get both of those businesses. So that's kind of the intent. You may see some things like we carved out, obviously our City Hall property, so we don't think we need any additional signage, but we're trying to be pretty free in there and try to help those folks. And you see a lot of cities do stuff like that during the construction. So I think part of this too is just to let them know that the city's here and willing to help, and whether it's the video or additional signage or these events or whatever, that's kind of thought. And going back to your capital book, that is $15,000 that's in there on that program cost.
Chris?
Yes, sir.
You're gonna go to each business?
That is the
door to
intent.
door?
Yes.
I understand that in the shopping area across where Texas Kitchen is,
Yes, sir.
there's an owner out of the country, no matter what the door-to-door people would want, he squashes. So So the benefit of what you're doing is that you're not taking it, not mailing a flyer to somebody in another country that owns that area. You're actually going and talking to the people, and they see the city cares and is doing the best they can.
I agree with you. We run into that a lot. There are multiple businesses up there where the property owner is different than maybe the business owner. The property owner may or may not live in the state or even in the country.
Well, they also have your property owner of that strip center, there's gonna be a rule in their lease about signage. And even if the city allows it, they still have to go and honor their lease and go with their property owner saying, well, I know you don't allow banner signs, but the city's gonna allow me to have it because of the construction. Now, most of these owners are also gonna get a percentage of the rent if they hit over in sales. So most property owners are gonna say, yeah, go for it. But they are restricted by the lease they have with their property owner. And they may not be able to do this. And if the property owner is one of those guys who is old school, he's gonna say, that's just too bad. And we're not gonna let
Our
you do it."
message absolutely is we're not trying to get them to violate any other commitment.
Yeah.
We're just saying we're willing. If you
Yeah.
can and would like to, we're willing. And then we're offering basically to kind of walk them through. I do not want the fact that you have to fill out a
Yes.
permit to be a stumbling block for somebody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll walk you through that. The whole point of that is just maintaining a little bit of safety and knowing who to contact if you know, something's wrong. But we're not trying to collect a fee or make it onerous to get into the program at all. So.
The other suggestion I got polling over for the people in that shopping center was, could we have Crud Day in that shopping center this year instead of?
Now, is that from a standpoint of just driving business to the area?
Yeah, same idea. Nobody knows what's back in all these areas, but if we had a city event of some kind, Crud Day was.
But you couldn't put crutches
I know,
up
but
there.
it,
But the spirit and intent is,
yeah, you feel it.
I
Yeah,
don't
if
want to tell you,
something-
we have not fleshed this completely out, but when you're sitting around brainstorming, one of the ideas is on Main Street, on the Main Street corridor, that's a pretty obvious spot that if you're going to have some sort of event, they have a large parking area, can you work with them and do something kind of, if you will, in the center that brings people to that area? So that's one of the things we're kicking around. So I think the spirit and intent, whether it's Scrub Day or something else, is just some sort of event. What we feel like is, and I don't want to say we wouldn't do any advertising, but we're not thinking that the way to spend $15,000 is to run an ad in the paper. You got to get traffic to there. So how do you create an atmosphere or something that people will come to that area? We have kicked around the idea of having a special time at the aquatic center, and if you shop on the main street, then the vendor at the business can hand you a special ticket that gets you into the special aquatics event. I mean, there has to be some reason to come visit the area. The idea being that if you do it and like it, then you may come back.
Betsy is working on a mailer, it's like a postcard mailer, I think, that, and it's called Main Street Manners. And it would be perhaps where you could get some links to more information, because you can't get a lot on one particular, you can't list every single business or whatever, but you could get some links. But she is, and that's one of the things that she would send that out and try to encourage basically traffic to go to that area as well. But you know, you can do those fairly inexpensively if you do kind of that little every zip code mailing where it's not an individualized deal. So they have.
You know, Devin didn't charge you anything for
Talent.
the
You
video.
don't have to have a likeness fee or
You
anything.
didn't have a talent fee?
No.
I'm gonna have to play that video again later. I don't know if you noticed, right at the time where they're saying this is a super friendly salon, Devin is spinning in the chair and he has got this look on his face. His eyes are that wide. Oh, man. All right, let me get back to my spot.
So are we talking inflatable monkeys and stuff like that?
That's
What,
not
what
my
business are you
preference.
thinking
That
would
we
like
go-
an inflatable monkey?
We go that crazy.
The one
Or
they all do is
inflatable
sim-
balloons
they
with
put
a
them on the
400
roof.
foot extension cord?
on the right hand side.
CFW wouldn't let us do that.
I think we're talking more about signs that are currently permitted, but maybe longer and more than our, for instance, the banner one's my example.
Okay.
We've allowed advertising today, but they have to be in certain fashion in only a certain number of days and those kind of things. I think we're talking about breaking some of those rules. Now, we've had conversations of like the feather flags that you see that everybody sticks in the ground, and anyway, we don't typically allow those, but
Okay.
to do something like that. The problem you get into with a lot of those inflatables, and Main Street will be a great example, is they take up a pretty large amount of room to inflate and then tether them down. And you drive down Main Street, I mean, parking is often at a premium in front of these little stores. So to go take up multiple parking spaces is kind of tough. We do not allow them on roofs. That is our current ordinance, because what you find is a lot of those buildings that were not designed for that. So these companies will come in and put this weight up on the roof and tether it to spots that shouldn't be, and you have a lot of trouble. So we actually allow inflatables today in the ordinance, but they have to be on the ground, and they came in a fire lane, and there's, normal little rules like that. But I wouldn't say no, Mr. Tom, because I'm saying I think we're just trying to be open-minded.
Cool.
I just don't know that maybe is, part of the deal with Main Street is just, again, it's trying to have people up there. If you've got an inflatable out in front of the donut store, it's so far up Main Street next to the bridge outlets, I don't know that drives anybody there.
Okay.
I think we gotta get people
In the
to come to
area.
that area.
Okay.
Going back down through this list here on the general fund capital items again, I'm gonna call out, you'll see there the gear for 3 additional firefighters. We've already talked about having those firefighters, that is their gear. The uninterrupted power supply UPS, this is gonna be the 3rd year of that 3-year program, so all of our intersections in town that have a signal light will now have that UPS. That is provided invaluable during storm events.
That is awesome.
Carpet replacement on PD and courts. I know we talked a little bit the other day about revisiting the PD, and I'm not suggesting this is a renovation, but again, this is the 3rd year of a 3-year program to replace all the carpet. And so we're on schedule with that, and this will be the final year of that. Transfer to municipal plaza improvements phase 3. I am pointing that out because.
You mean two?
Two,
You
sorry.
had a phase on?
I have, yeah. Hadn't talked to you about that yet, sorry. By the time we meet on the 16th, there's a decent chance that there'll be a pretty good amount of concrete. It's not gonna be finished, but we poured concrete Friday up there, and if you get a chance to walk by, it's still behind construction fencing, but you start to kind of visualize how this new ramp area in the courtyard is all gonna work out, and it's looking really good. This piece actually is coming in when we're done with the building and done with all the hardscape and doing the landscaping piece behind it. But I know it's been a while since we've met, and the building is on schedule, the planning development engineering building is on schedule, and the courtyard is on schedule and doing good. I had made Loretta too mad. They work right outside her window all the time.
Or they don't work.
That's a jacket.
I might have told Loretta the other day I was glad we did this when she was the city manager, not Gary, so. It's been less pain for me.
It is rather noisy outside the window there, but they're making progress. And we're hopeful that in the next couple of weeks, they'll actually be able to open back up the walkway from the, what I'll call the City Hall parking lot. And we'll be rerouting traffic over to the utility building from our parking lot. You know, right now they're coming in from the library side.
Right.
So they'll actually finish all that concrete for, re-fence it off, and then people will start entering from the City Hall side again. But they did make a lot of progress on Friday with the pouring of the concrete, so that's coming along.
Right below that, you will see a public works yard improvements, and I want to point that one out because I think somebody had asked me about that. That is, y'all know where the public works yard is. They have a fenced-in storage area out the back that's got a concrete pad that we park vehicles and equipment on and have storage bins. They just need additional room. We have a part of that that is unpaved, and we tend to store materials there. For instance, well, if it's been raining for several days and you're out and you have a water line break, it is really tough to take wet material to go back into a hole and fill it. So that is, what it's gonna do is it's gonna pave a fire lane width driveway down from their current pad to the gate access off of South Pipeline Road, and then provide some additional padding where we can put some additional material storage on dry land, if you will. So that's what that piece is. It also is, kind of goes back to help address some of our stormwater improvement initiatives through COG, where we're doing some of those activities. Transfer to 17 street improvements. We sneakily have started calling this street improvements. That's what we always called for years the overlays, the different overlays. And honestly, it's reflective of the fact that may not be an overlay. It may be HA5, it may be Slurry Seal, so street improvements. But you'll notice that 425, this is where Loretta talked that we were able to actually work a little more into baseline. So instead of this being 6, it's 425 because you got 175 in baseline now. And then I think she mentioned the other night too, we actually were able to up that by overall $50,000, which is honestly not as much as I'd like it to be, but it's move in the right direction, so. Then I would tell you the last 5 in that group are the ones that we are not recommending funding for. We've talked to you about those before. The next little section there is the general fund.
But you're
Yes, sir.
you're still working on the Public Works Station 2 generator things, right? They're just not being funded or what,
Yes,
but
we
you're
are
still looking.
pursuing
Okay.
another.
We're
yeah,
pursuing
It's still on your radar. Okay.
Absolutely.
We would hope, Bob's been working to see if there are any grant opportunities for that out there. So it's not that it's not needed, it's just, we're trying to see if there's another way to get it funded, maybe through a grant.
That next section is the general fund supplemental. You'll see the firefighter paramedics, that's the 3 guys we've already talked about. Field Tech 1, and that's Hal's Field Tech that he's requested and that they need. And I think that's about
That
all.
local step, just to remind you, that's the selective traffic enforcement program. And I believe last year, the year before, Chris had given you a report, that's where we basically have the officers go and do a very targeted enforcement and been able to show that that's, whether that's if we need signal light or if there's a particular intersection, whatever it might be that they determine. And they've determined that really pays for itself to, when you're having issues in a particular area and they need to bring enforcement.
I'd just like to say something right quick on
Yes, sir.
our code officer. As we move forward next year's budget and following year's budget, we all know this area is going to keep growing, and I think they're going to have their challenges. I really don't know what their the amount of work they have to do. I mean, what their performance expectation is for each code enforcement officer, but I know that, that's an expectation, so I just wanted to lift that up. I
That's
agree.
one that we absolutely recognize that we need. I would tell you that Kyle needs that part-time,
Oh, yeah.
he needs that
Yeah.
upgrade for that clerical position. It's just a matter of what we can afford. But absolutely, that code officer is one that we could put him to work full-time tomorrool with all
If
of
we
those
just take
issues
Jeremy's
we
phone
have.
away from Access Euless, I think we're
I
That's
think
really
okay.
our 2
We're
choices,
just
is
gonna
fund the
hire
code officer next year or remove.
For the record, I did circle code officer like you needed one.
Yeah, it's gonna be called Jeremy's code officer.
Yeah.
We can, we do those code reports,
Chairman
y'all,
chair.
Yeah.
Brandon does. Their workload is tremendous and continues to grow. The good news is, I think we're a victim of our own success. Access Euless has been a very successful program, but it generates, there's an expectation that
Yeah,
comes with it.
exactly.
Thank you.
Also, as you go through town, I will tell you.
Is there a way to block a number?
We're looking into that.
Well,
I'll tell you,
I've
you go
already
through town.
requested that.
So, but seriously, you're sitting there talking about going door to door to these businesses, and I'm thinking, is there a code officer going along with you? Because there's going to be issues that's going to come up to go, hey, this fire exit can't be blocked like this. Oh, but I'm only here to advertise the business. So there's things like that that's also swirling in my mind.
Jeremy, I will say, I appreciate what you're doing. Seriously, I know we messed with you.
Oh, I know,
hard time,
but I can take it. It's
I
not-
appreciate it. But seriously, that's a success story.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
don't
And
back off. Don't back off.
And maybe there's a way, like when Brandon talked about the people doing Access Euless because the stupid Star Telegram was throwing the newspaper, the free newspaper, and they're calling Access Euless, and we've got a code officer going out there because there's a newspaper in the street. I mean, maybe there's a way we can not do those on Access Euless and just an auto response saying, we're real sorry, we're working with the Star Telegram, to the person who makes the complaint, we're working with the Star Telegram, so they won't throw those on, but to have somebody go out there for everyone.
Well,
is
what I'll tell you,
mind-boggling.
Linda, on that is, we've really gotten good and efficient in grouping those kind of things, and then with, we went to an iPad type system where those code officers are not having to, it's not like I'm at a desk and I get a complaint, so I go get my car and I'm out.
Perfect.
They're
That's
out
the next
That's
all the
perfect.
time, and you get these things that roll in through the day, and code officers work in a district, and they get these things that comes to their district. Well, they're often taking care of, as you're coming down the street to look at something, you may be doing 4 or 5 Access Euless complaints, and so we don't think of them individually. But the other thing I'll tell you, back to an actual code officer body, is I think we've done about as much as we can do as far as working smarter, not harder, and using technology and being more efficient. There's just a lot of workload out there, and I'll tell you, it's part of the Euless way. I think our citizens expect, and we absolutely try to deliver a response to all questions. Even, I can not even begin to tell you how silly some of them may be, but I mean, that person still deserves a response. So there's a customer service level that we're trying
The
to.
question I was going to bring up, Chris, is yeah, we can't fund it, and I agree we can't fund it, but can we, I mean, I don't know what our overtime budget is, code enforcement, I don't even have overtime budget for enforcement. If we did once a month and they did, each one did 8 hours of overtime, just to pick up on some issues. I don't get an operation, never had, never will, that's not my job as a council.
They're doing that now, Mr. Bynum.
They already
They do have an overtime budget, and they're doing some of it is, they're doing to help the employee, the code officer, because the code officers, they are very busy, and so they got a day they need to take their kid to the doctor or whatnot, so they may shift and work Saturday rather than work that particular day. So they're doing some of that, but they are also doing some of it where it's just overtime to pay them to be here later in the evening or on the weekends or whatnot. They're not doing it just to give them additional money. If there's no value in that code officer being there at that time, then they're not doing that. But they certainly are finding times to somewhat reward them by giving them a little bit of overtime, but it is also in places where we need them. Because we know that there are some people that won't do things Monday through Friday because they absolutely know the code are out there and on them. So they'll come in, they'll try to slide it in on Saturday, they'll try to slide it on Sunday. So every so often they are bringing one of those guys in and letting them work a Saturday or a Sunday to look for those specific type of issues.
You know, Chris, sometimes saying, "Are you freaking kidding?" That's a response.
Well, and Chris absolutely touched on it, because I felt, and it is the Euless way. And I'm very sensitive to that from a police standpoint, because it's very easy, and you see it in a lot of cities where that in our job, we've got better things to do, we don't need to go. But for that person, that newspaper is piling up or whatnot, that is an issue to them. And for us to, there's that fine line of, sometimes it's just good for them to know that we care enough that we'll come out. Not anything. We know we can't do anything about it. Maybe we can make a phone call to the Star Telegram and say, would y'all please quit throwing papers to this deal? But we know that our employees, our citizens expect that of us. We don't want to be Fort Worth. We don't want to be Arlington. We want to be Euless. And so to me, that's very important. And
Well, the whole
continue to
Star
try to do that
Telegram in
when
the
we can.
street is that there's not enough of a newspaper to throw it anywhere.
Wait, down.
Yeah, I don't, it's like 3 pages on my
It can't get very far because there's nobody waiting up there.
They need to throw the digital copy.
We're gonna talk about a specific property here a little bit later today that goes right back to this code piece. And part of what I'll tell you on code is, as you start getting into these things, the nature of them sometimes is just time consuming. I mean, when you start really processing even something as simple as a high grass and weeds, I mean, there's a large number of folks that just take care of their property. There's a lot of other folks that when we contact them and say in our day-to-door, we try to make eye-to-eye communication and ask them, like, this is a violation, would you take care of it, that do. There's a small number of people that you start going through the legal process, and it takes time and it takes involvement, and it can take a lot of time. When we talk about this one property, you're going to be, I think, pleased at what code's doing, but the other thing you're going to realize is it gets really involved really fast. So I think those guys are doing a great job. As you drive through town, you see, I think it looks really good. Now, the other part of that, victim your own success, is take care of this, take care of this. Well, all of a sudden, this that didn't necessarily used to look so bad starts to look bad. So I guess I'll tell you that, there's no shortage of work for code officers, and they're never going to reach the finish line and everything just be done.